I love you, brother. You do. Oh, I'm on. Oops, hold on, dude. All right, let me get this going. Whoa, it's the illusion reporting from somewhere on spaceship Earth. All right. I was busy texting with one of my bros, and we were having a definite disagreement, dude. And I had to make sure I ended the conversation with love for my brother, dude. Both him and I can get each other pretty riled, dude. I will tell you, it's tough. It's tough seeing the truth, right? Because everybody has a different set of eyes and a different set of data points. And even when you're both looking at the truth, you're seeing the elephant from two different sides and two different perspectives. And that can lead, and you're both like, it's an elephant, dude. And you get into a big argument about whether the elephant is upside down or right side up, dude. So let me wrap this up with oops. I don't know. Let me see. There we go. All right, wait, I have to get the microphone right there. Like, subscribe, join, become a member. Join, become a member. I just opened up your email, Andrew. The Viking with the microphone. I dig it, man. I have some t-shirt money to send you too. I've just been super slacker about it for maybe like 6 months, but so goes the life of the illusion. Yeah, dude. So we're here on the thing, and I'm checking in. I had one of those moments today where like I just glitched out. I future tripped and glitched out for a moment, and it sent me into a spin out for a little bit. But I recovered. There, but for the grace of God go I, dude. So yeah, it's Friday. What is it? September 12th. Star date September 12th. And we're here, dude. And it's interesting. I after yesterday's live stream, I talked to a young 19-year-old girl, maybe 18, something like that, who's who knows what's trying to figure out what's going on, dude. And it was interesting because, and this isn't the first one, it is very, very potent, this the factionalization, dude. And it's funny how, so one of the things that I do, so like I was getting to an argument on texting with my bro. He views the truth thing through the white papers and a lot of the more finance oriented stuff, dude, right? The white papers coming from the globalists, he's definitely oriented towards tech and finance. Me, I'm white papers oriented towards social and political, dude, right? So when I was describing the elephant, like we both see what's coming. We both see the tech oligarchs are building an electromagnetic digital gulag for us, and we're trying to explain that elephant from our perception of what we delve into the thing, and we we got it. We were getting into an argument about Nick Fuentes, dude. And because I was up in the forest yesterday hiking with the family, dude, because we do our family out. We went way up into the forest, up into the Twisselman botanical area, and hiked up into the woods, dude. And it was beautiful, rad. I'm gonna upload a video for that for the members only, dude. And and uh and you can enjoy that, dude. And then it'll go into the general population like a week later. But so I'm gonna start doing it a little bit more. I got to encourage membership a little bit, dude, because it does help to it does keep the lights on. Because I've been super slacker with my Etsy shop. I gotta get together. But anyway, so I was up in the enough of my pitching myself. I was up in the thing, and my wife was like, she doesn't really follow any of this stuff, dude. Though she's pretty awake, but she leaves me to kind of go through the minutia of it. And we were talking about the Charlie Kirk thing, and because she didn't really know who he was either, and because it's a generational thing. If you don't study the social and the political and all that kind of stuff, you wouldn't know who some of these people are, right? And I study the commentators online because I am one. To my 33 audience and my 33 members here, dude. So she was asking me, she's like, so who's the next? Who's the number 2 guy? Who's gonna fill the void, dude? And I was like, I don't know, dude. And I was walking a little bit further, and then it hit me. I go, it's Nick Fuentes, dude. And she's like, so who's Nick Fuentes? And I go, he's the Groypers, dude. And so I had started following Nick Fuentes when they used to bum rush Dan Crenshaw's events. So I, that was when I first tuned into what the Groypers were about, was when they were, and they're far right, dude. There's no doubt about it that they're far right on that. And again, as a dude who checks out Hassan Piker, I also check out Nick Fuentes. I also check out the David Pacmans, like the Tim Pools and the I pay attention to all this because I pay attention. I study social, political through the white papers of the truth, right? And my buddies, like I said, does the economic stuff. So for me, I like to know which way the societal mindset is going to go at any given moment, right? Like I want to know what's going on with the person in line with me at the supermarket. And so to me, most people are more influenced by social and political stuff than they actually are by economic stuff, even though the economic stuff's actually the real thing that influences them, dude. All right, dude, dude, I'm live right now, dude. I'm live right now. And so let me get this on. So So when I was talking to my wife up in the woods, and I was like, yeah, and the reason I ever paid attention to the Groypers was because I've always been opposed to Dan Crenshaw, one-eye John McCain, right? And so when those dudes showed up and started trolling him at his meet and greets and his press conferences and stuff, I was like, who are these dudes? And they would all show up in ties and suits. And you know me, I do want to go back to the day when we all wore suits and ties, dude. I really do. I think that's half the problem with our society. But I'm wearing a t-shirt right now, so you can't expect much out of me. But so anyway, so like I'd always kept an eye on this dude in the corner over there. I'm not again, if you understand me, I don't talk about personalities that are doing things because I either approve or disapprove of them. Like I don't have it, and I'm not into the cult of these people. I appreciate them for who they are as orators and people that can attain audiences and cause and get people to react and do things. And so when you see social movements going on, it's important to know who's leading social movements. So when you see a bunch of young men in suits and ties showing up at one of your least favorite representatives events and trolling that dude about who's funding him and all of this stuff, you're like, who are these dudes? And so that's what me and my buddy were like arguing about was me. I was like, again, you understand that on the big picture, all of these people are being put before you as placeholders to keep you distracted, right? And so whenever anybody, it's important to know who the placeholders are that are there to distract you and what they may have. So the only way this works, the only way that any of these people get to be in prominence in front of you and become leaders of other groups of people or lead mass social movements or push the social needle one way or the other is because they have to dispel a certain amount of truth. And I would say, it's a bare minimum of 70-30. They got to give you 70% truth to 30% propaganda, lies, nonsense, the whole thing, right? Because the only way you can feed someone truth, propaganda, is to package it in truth. You do know that the basic art of propaganda is to give you a certain amount of truth to cover the propaganda and weave it all together. So the average person doesn't have the mental capacity to discern that. Dude, what is going on here, dude? I got one of the little rascals going on up there. So again, is as you look at like, how does a dude, whether you like Alex Jones or not, is 100% irrelevant to the conversation. How does Alex Jones get into a position of part of our social zeitgeist? He did it by giving you probably a 90-10 ratio of truth in the beginning. I would argue that in the beginning it was a 90-10, dude. When that dude was down doing public access, 90-10, dude. And then the system, and then the 9/11 happened, and he got fame and notoriety as a truther, and he really blew up into the mainstream. And then the system tried to hold him back, and then realized they weren't going to stop him, so they promoted him to get his ratio to the 70-30. And now I would say it's probably 70-30 the other direction. He's probably giving you 30% truth, 70% propaganda at this point now, because he's on the hook to the man, dude. So when you look at it, it's important to know who these people are, because why me and my buddy were getting into an argument, he was like, I'd never even heard of Charlie Kirk till like 2 days ago. And I was like, see, well, if you want to know who the next dude coming in to take Charlie Kirk's place, it is going to be Nick Fuentes. And if you've been paying attention to this channel, I told you like 4 weeks ago that something was up with Nick Fuentes coming back out into the social zeitgeist. I did. Those of you who watch this channel know that did I not talk about this like a month ago, going, hey, they're letting Nick Fuentes back into the arena, and pay attention to this, dude. So again, pay attention, dude. Why? Because you get to be in, like, again, it's like betting on, it's like betting on things or investing on things. You can stand assured that for the disaffected young audience that appreciated a dude like Charlie Kirk, Nick Fuentes is right there to pick them up, because you can already see the headlines out there now is the moderate right is dead. They killed the moderate right. They literally did assassinate the moderate right, dude. Like, Charlie Kirk was a pretty moderate dude. Yeah, he held on to the pretty right-leaning view of abortion, women, society, all of that kind of stuff, immigration, the whole social issues. Yes, he was a very right-leaning guy, but in the spectrum of what is right in our country, he's pretty moderate, dude. He definitely is not center right. That's your Tim Pool type dudes. Charlie Kirk was definitely moderate, center, middle of the road, right wing, if not. And so Nick Fuentes is over here on your extreme right. And he would say that. I just listened to his thing today, which I would suggest you listen to, because if you want to know what's going on, people, and listen to orators. So what I will always tell you is, if you want to know who's coming next, listen to them, not per word, but per their tempo. So if you just forget about who Nick Fuentes is, dude, and I'm telling you, dude, just go listen. That dude, I just got done listening to his thing from yesterday. For an hour and a half, that dude spoke without breaking tempo, without looking at a script, without mispronouncing or stuttering or bogging his lines, for an hour and a half, looking dead in the camera. So a person like that is an undeniable orator. What you need to watch is, it's not about the dude. It's about the machine and the algorithm maneuvering the dude into the thing. And what I will always argue, everyone's like I will argue that most of these people at a certain point are legit in the beginning. They are legit, and the machine moves them around to see where they're going to end up. They block them, they ban them, they push them forward, and then they see what's going on. And so, like a dude like Nick Fuentes, they've been trying to stop him for years. He like, all his stuff's coming back on YouTube, and it's all via they're all black channels, by the way, which is a very interesting thing. If you go in on to YouTube, Nick Fuentes has got a huge footprint, and it's all being done by black channels, dude. Pay attention to that, dude. And they're all re-uploading his Rumble, because he's not allowed on YouTube, right? So again, we're watching them move a dude around to fit, and they started placing him into back into the social zeitgeist like about a month ago. Ask yourself, why did Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens start a beef with Nick Fuentes about a month ago? You forget about that. But as a dude who studies it, that was a giant, like, why are they getting into a beef with Nick Fuentes, dude? And they blew him up, dude. Boom. And everyone was like, Why are they talking about Nick Fuentes? Because they're talking about him for now. And the thing that I will, now that we're out of the thing, is this is all orchestrated. Again, when I say that it's orchestrated, it doesn't mean that it's fake. What I'm saying is these things are real and they're being orchestrated to move society in certain directions, right? And in order for them to build their digital gulag right now, in order for them to get everybody in the digital matrix, they need everyone to fracture, and they need everyone to get polarized. So you're watching it in real time. And I was talking about this yesterday. The lefties just got their go code. Boom. Get crazy, get vile. The right is debating, is trying to rationalize their need to go offensive, dude. If you listen to Nick Fuentes yesterday, dude, it's basically the same message I had yesterday, like almost that, which is ironically weird, but because it's about those who those who live by the sword die by the sword, and that's the thing is we need to exchange our sword for a cloak, dude. And it's super important to notice what they're trying to do with society right now. They need to move us into our backs up against the wall perception and be like the boogeyman's in the room, and to launch so that we forget about the food prices, so that we forget about our senior citizens sleeping in cars, so that we forget about the technocrats filling the White House, so we forget about Palantir, so we forget about the digital gulag. Let's start bitching and moaning about hateful content on YouTube that is straight demonic. Dude, I watched some of the craziest TikTok videos of people just celebrating the death of another human being, dude. And again, that's the beast. That is the demonic system. So what I'm trying to talk about is that part of paying attention to who you are as a human being is to pay attention to what you emotionally feel, what you intellectually think, what you're worried about, like, and what's going on in your own life, right? Like I spun out today about like my overwhelming bills and got into the fear, and then just ultimately I got to just give it back to God. It's all going to work out anyhow. And all of that kind of stuff. And then, but you also need to, because you can only be in control of yourself, right? But what you need to be also aware of is what's going on around you, with the people around you that you have to interact with out in the world that you don't know personally. And in order to know what the people out in the world are doing, you kind of got to have a lens into what they're about and what their uniforms are and what their styles are and what they're all about. Not so that you can judge them, to condemn them, or because the smart ones know how to dress just like the people they want to infiltrate, right? That is the grifter. Beware of the grifter. What I'm talking about is if you don't know how social movements are happening and what's going on, you're liable to wonder how on Wednesday the fabric of American discourse changed in an instant. Like that's what I was getting into an argument with my buddy about. Like he didn't know who Charlie Kirk was, and everything he's working on to keep track of just moved a lot closer because this dude got assassinated in broad daylight in front of everyone. And I'm like, no, see, if you had understood why the assassination of Charlie Kirk suddenly gets presidential recognition, suddenly gets people singing an Amazing Grace over in the UK, suddenly gets the nation to uncloak and say the most vile stuff ever, dude. I was watching this TikTok video. This guy was celebrating the gore and just like the whole thing and just being like, yes, may we do this more. And I'm like, there's a dude who's never been into a fist fight in his life, dude. Like again, is the thing that we must understand. And this is why I say that, like, a little bit about wrap ourselves in, put down our swords and wrap ourselves in a cloak. Most people that make vile and disgusting and violent content or comments or that are people that have never actually experienced violence. Like that. So knowing that a person who knows what violence is, whether inside of themselves or seen it or perpetrated or whatever it is, understands what violence is, would not promote it in any way, would not revel in it, would not cheer for it, would not on any level actually broadcast that level of insanity. So because they don't know what it is, that's almost where you got to look at them with a deep level of forgiveness of like, oh, they don't even know what they're talking about. Like they truly don't. Yes, they are perpetuating the machine of division. So they are a big problem on that level. But on an individual thing, I get it. An avalanche is made of lots of snowflakes, dude. I get that, dude. But when we look at these people, we have to have a certain amount of like empathy and be like, that person's never been punched in the nose, dude. You know, and so what I'm getting at is and why I think it's worth listening to the Nick Fuentes thing from yesterday is because he talks about all this. He talks about everything I talked about last time. What I'm kind of talking about right now is violence begets violence, dude. And we have to be very careful. I think this is just a theme right now because the thing has shifted. Oh, they're jamming my signal, dude. They're currently relevant. Dude's playing a dude disguised as another dude. Exactly. Anywho, so what I'm getting at is part of my assignment, right? My personal. You know, it's funny, Marie. I'm going to talk about this. So I was in the forest yesterday, right? And we were, you know, if you go into the forest and get all silent, and I was trying to teach Owl about getting super quiet in the forest and letting the animals come back around you, right? And so we were sitting in the forest all quiet yesterday, and we were listening to these birds making a ruckus. And then they came out and they sat on this tree kind of across from us. And I was looking at those birds, and then they flew off to somewhere else. And I was thinking like about the birds don't have to pay any rent. They don't have, they got to go do their thing. And it's survival of the forest, right? Survival of the fittest, law of the jungle, all that kind of stuff. But they're allowed to just freely go about their business and fly from tree to tree and tweety tweet and do whatever birds do. And I was thinking about exactly what you're saying right there is part of the scam. The main hustle they've inflicted is to think that we're renters on this planet or renters in this realm. We're not renters in this realm, dude. We were put here in a covenant with God. We're not renters. We're God's perfect beings created in his image down here. And it's up to us to choose not to be renters. And again, these are contracts of mentality, right? Because even the people that think they're owners aren't really owners, dude. I own my own house. I got to pay property tax, right? There's, you can get out through all sorts of hustles and you can get all crazy about that. But what I'm saying is, like, if you remove the mentality of being a renter, you're not a renter, dude. You are so today I was a renter. Today I had a brief window today where I was a renter for about an hour. And that energy heavily disrupted my being. Because when I'm a renter, I'm not from God. When I'm a renter, I'm a prisoner of the matrix, dude. And so oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was Dominions. Dominions. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Um, are you an employee or are you 1/1000th of the company that cannot be I cannot be replaced. I cannot be replaced, dude. I see a bad trouble on the way. I again is I this is my take on it though. Is like I said, I don't necessarily I think the trouble is very different than the trouble they want. I for some reason I do think, listen, in order for there to be like this level of civil violence that the system wants, and let's be super clear, the system, look, dude, the system's been trying to get us into a civil race ideological war since Ferguson. I mean, that's when I first. I mean, it's probably been it's been longer than that, dude. Just let's be clear. I'm saying, in like the first real modern incarnation of that was Ferguson. And if you watch what was going on in Ferguson, dude, the reason that and I've made this case before. The reason they can't get a civil war going on in this country is because they've drugged everybody out too much. See, I think that the systems run into a weird conundrum. They've dumped so much pharmaceutical apathy drugs on the system, whether it be fluoride to calcify your pineal gland, or SSRIs, or marijuana, or food that slows you down, or high, or glyphosate, or aspartame. They've dumped so much apathy based drugs on the system that they can't actually spark off the civil war, because most people don't have the attention span or the physical sustainability of endurance. Listen, in order to really have like a civil war in a society, you need a lot of people with a lot of attention span and a lot of physical endurance. Like, a civil war is not a lazy man's pursuit. A civil war is a super athletic mind game of violence and death and destruction. So you got to be ready to run a marathon, dude. And what I would argue is they've dumped so much concoctions on our society that they can't actually spark it off, dude. And that's why I think that's why they're trying to get everyone. That's like they're pulling certain things out of the thing, not to get you. They want to make you healthy again for a real reason, dude. So what I'm getting at is so I think when everybody's getting all worried about it sparking out, I go, I don't really think that's a problem, because I think that people have such a short attention spans, and also that most people don't have the physical capacity to get really motivated to do something. And I would argue that the people that do have the physical capacity to do that are already sort of healthy and have used their mind to see the holes in that idea. You know what I mean? Like I do think like some of the things in our society are protecting us. You may argue that most jerk offs in the gym are mindless zombies of the machine, but the jerk offs in the gym are pretty vain, and they like their cappuccinos too and their green smoothies. So them deviating their physical well-being into civil war versus a smooth, like you do get that most people in our society, the concept of Starbucks versus Civil War, or McDonald's versus Civil War, or Coors Light versus Civil War, it's like they're gonna take the gratification of their mouths first versus the gratification of whatever Civil War is. So I don't really see that as the problem. What I do see as the problem is us losing human Tesla coils to a machine that would have people sit in their houses and contemplate violence. I think that's a far bigger concern for me, is apathy combined with violent thought patterns of hate and anger. You get what I'm saying? Because it would be one thing if they went to the gym with it and did some push-ups and met all the other angry people at the gym, and then they would be standing right next to their lefty friend or their right-winger friend, all doing push-ups or jumping rope and being like, so what are you doing jumping rope? Well, I'm doing jumping rope to kick your ass. Well, I'm doing jumping rope to kick your ass. And they're like, but why are we going to kick our ass? We both are jumping rope. And then they would be like, oh my God, it's the system that's got us jumping rope to kick each other's ass. You get what I'm saying? Like the system can't have us working out either, because we all got it. The gym is one of these weird places where everybody loses the uniform of their identity to put on their workout gear, right? Like when you go to the gym, everybody gets in their spandex and their workout gear. They leave their MAGA stuff and their blue tard stuff behind, and they go to the gym and they pump. So there's this weird thing that I think that like our society sort of has this weird canceling itself out thing that the controllers really can't get their head around. So they're really not they're trying to figure it out. Like, how do we get these monkeys to like pick up the jawbone and smash each other's heads in together? So I do get it. That's why they're gradually taking things out of the society. You know, they're gradually seeing what was that, pickup sticks? Is that pickup sticks? Or Jenga? It's like a Jenga block. They're like, well, if we take this out of society, what will the tower fall? And so I don't, and that's again goes back to the full circle of what I'm talking about. Because if you actually listen to Nick's thing yesterday, and again, I'm suggesting not to carry your baggage. Listen, how did I avoid the Obama trap? You have to understand, I avoided the Obama trap as a pretty left-leaning, center-left liberal back in whenever Obama was. I'd come out of the George Bush, dude, as an anti-war, anti-destroy the environment guy. When George Bush is ended, George 2, right? Obama shows up. How did I avoid the Obama trap? How did I avoid the Obama trap of all the rhetoric and the whole thing? Because I caught Obama early, dude. I caught Obama early when he came out of Chicago and became a senator. And I remember because this is how I do it. I listen to people speak without listening to their words. It seems counterintuitive, but this is what you do. You don't bring their image or their story or the baggage. Just listen to them speak and don't listen to the words. Just listen to the rhythm of the oration, dude. And the ones that are going to come in and get something done are the people that speak in a very rhythmic, consistent pattern, dude. And I remember sitting there listening to Obama, and it's inarguable that Obama in the last 20 years is probably the greatest orator that America's ever listened to. That dude could speak butterflies, dude. And I remember sitting there listening to Obama, and what would that have been? That would have been what, 2006, 2000, about when he's coming on, and listening to that dude and being like, this dude's coming. And I started following his career, and I would listen to him, and I wouldn't get all caught up in his words of hope and change and all that. I would be like, oh my God, this dude is speaking the siren song. This dude is luring. If you know the siren song, right? It's the one that brings the ships into the cliffs, right? They speak the language and the sailors sail their boats into the cliffs, dude. And I was like, this dude's singing this is speaking the siren song. Code red, code red, code red. And I avoided his trap. But I will always, I can literally like listen to Obama like speak, more so before he got all like stuttery. He didn't use to, like, you know the difference. Obama scripted versus unscripted. He has the thing, but Obama on script is, in the world of oration, almost like listening to like music, dude. Like, again, forget about the cult of personality, forget about the person, the baggage. I'm talking just about sonic waveform coming from another human being's voice box, dude. And you can listen to him, and that dude, if that dude was, I listen to all these crazy, like, what if histories of the past. I don't know where they've all come from recently, but they're always with these very calm voices that talk to you to put you to sleep, right? He's got that voice, dude. He'd sing you right. He could sing you right in, talk you right into the concentration camp. And he really did for a lot of the society. That's how we got the Orange Man, dude, which is the opposite. So anyway, what I'm getting at is if you listen to the, like, perfect example, listen to the last Nick Fuentes. That dude doesn't break sonic rhythm, which in itself is a skill set that can't be created. It is like a dude who can play violin really well, or piano or whatever. Like, that dude can speak people into anything he wants, dude. And so, like, when I look at it, I go, dude, be careful. And then you throw on what he's actually talking about, and you're like, wow, be the uninitiated. He is saying everything that a person who just lost their moderate Christian leader would say to get them to have, for them to follow him. And I'm just trying to say, as the pendulum moves, that's where you're going to go, because Nick Fuentes is the perfect dude for all the loony lefty weirdos to go, oh my God, right-wing extremist, which will validate their extremity. You get what I'm saying? Is they need to move everybody who was with Charlie Kirk to the extreme right. They don't want them going center left. They want to move them more to the right. And you got to have someone there to pick them up. Not whether his messages are good or bad for them, so that the opposition, who doesn't care what he has to say, can point at him and go, that dude's a Nazi, or whatever they say nowadays, a racist, or this, or that, a homophobe, blah, 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 whatever they say. And then they get to go back to all their people and see, look, they all follow the Nazi, homophobe, racist guy over there. So we're not wrong. Hype up. See, that you got to, like, that's what I'm trying to get at. It is like they fractured this young generation by executing their dude live time. And it's important to know where these things go, because that's ultimately how they're going to get their fracturing of society. Because in order for them to really do what they need to do, they need us fighting in the streets. You do know that in order that the thing the system doesn't have right now to implement their crypto, their stable coins, or their surveillance state, or whatever, is because we're not duking it out in Star Wars and finishing, in Starbucks and finishing each other off. Like, that's what they got to have. They got to have us in Starbucks lopping each other's heads off. And then once they do that, they can be like, we got to have drones surveilling everybody, and we got to monitor everything. And because you guys can't be trusted in the Starbucks together, dude, if you understand, it gets back to the Truth and Reconciliation committees and the UN and the genocide thing. And I will point out, one of the dudes who's been making a super valid case about not using the word genocide as Sagar and Jetty, because he's like, it's an artificially created word to like ultimately trap us, dude. And I'm like, he makes a good case. He just says what's going on in Palestine, straight up murder, dude. So this is what I'm getting at is to watch the pieces on the game board are changing, dude. And it's important to know why they're changing and how they're changing, because again, our deal is to make sure that we don't fall for the trap. And the trap, ultimately, the system, as much as the system's all about illusions and propagandas and the whole thing, our job as people that is awake is to help people, not to even wake them up, but to keep them from losing their souls. Like, that's our job. As if we're spiritual beings, is to make sure other people don't lose their soul to the darkness, dude. And so in order to do that, we have to be able to know what is going on with them on a certain level. Like, listen, dude, it gets down to the music and all that stuff. It's a pretty much, it's a crapshoot. I was listening to some crazy music the other day, and I'm like, whoa, this is like wacky stuff, dude. I don't even get what this is. But like, I try to study the younger culture, because you definitely don't want to be an older person going, them kids and their dumb music. Like, you got to know what they're all about, dude. Anyway, all right. Yeah, Patriot Act 16.0, dude. The empire has definitely crumbled. Yeah, Jesus paid for the innocent blood, dude. Just so we're all clear. Someone did pay for the innocent's blood, dude. Again, you're missing the point of what I'm trying to say. It's like, I don't know how you could miss any more of a point about what I'm trying to say, dude. It's you want to know which way the wind is blowing, dude. Dude, Fuentes and Nick, you're comparing like apples and oranges, dude. And again, is I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about, if you want to see the trap being set for a generation, we're talking about the trap being set for the generation. See, I don't like, how many times do I got to fucking say this over the course of 15 years? I'm not into the cult of personality. I'm into studying what people are about, dude. So somehow conflating that I'm promoting anyone is I will tell you, I am straight promoting someone, dude. I will say I am promoting this person. I have made it clear now at least 4 times, and now 5, that I'm talking about understanding social movements and political movements and who is going to be influencing people, so that you're not sitting there wondering why the assassination of some dude on a Wednesday just changed the deep state and got you 10 days closer to their digital gulag, dude. That's what I'm getting at. So if you don't want to know it, just make weird comparisons that don't have anything to do with what I'm saying, dude. And again, like, nah, whatever. No, it's not all good, dude. No, it's not all good at all. At all. What you're putting, I will put my own words in my own mouth, dude. You can get up and say whatever you want, wherever you want, dude. I'm being very clear about I am not speaking for, I am trying to break down where it's going to fall, dude. And again, that there you go, dude. So misconstrue it, dude. Misconstrue what I just said again. But again, that's the problem with most people's like thing. They're into the cult of personality, whether it's good or bad. Again, look past the cult of personality stuff, dude. If you want to understand why people do what they do, dude, get stuck on the totems, dude, instead of understanding why the totem is doing what they're doing, dude. And again, I'm laying out a case why that dude is going to go scoop up possibly millions and millions of young adults, dude. And you can say what, but I'm trying to point out why that dude's going to scoop up these dudes. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm trying to say is why is that going to happen, dude? It's like understanding why they assassinated Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, dude. Because what you're worried about with this too is Malcolm, and everyone champions of Malcolm X, dude. Well, that dude in no uncertain terms was very clear about it. And so again see again is if you hate Fuentes, you've bought into him. You've missed the point. Like you've bought into it, dude. Again, the secret to is to neither hate nor love. It's to actually understand who what they're talking about and why they're talking about what they're talking about and how it's being applied to people in our society that are susceptible to this type of stuff. And that's how is again, it goes back to this thing is everybody thinks that somebody's doing something to them. No, it is you doing it to them, to yourself, and sitting there. I'm not going to pay attention to this because I hate this person. Well, then you get to miss a huge part of the data points because you're closing your eyes to an understanding of what the person's doing in the supermarket in front of you. It's this thing that like we just got it on display. You need to go see what other people are about. Like it's like the thing. Like you can say anything you want about whatever, but actually I go and I don't like anything Hassan Piker's got to say. Really, generally speaking. But I go listen to him because lots of people do like what he has to say. So if you want to know what people over on that side of the tracks are all about, well, you got to go kind of check out their dude and suspend your like love hate for him and be like, so what is Hassan Pike? What does Destiny have to say? What does Candace have to say? What does Ben Shapiro have to say? What do all of these people have to say, dude? because what they aren't sitting there with giant audiences because people aren't listening to them. So if you're going to go in there and go, I hate that person, well, you've now done exactly what the other side just did to you. They're like, I hate that person. So by default, they hate everything that you're associated with, and you might just actually be like hanging out, checking them out. I don't know. So again, is everybody needs to stop with that. The message I have been trying to broadcast here for 15 years is stop worshiping people love and hate, and just try to figure out what the fuck it is they're talking about it, why they're talking about it, and why so many people want to hear what they have to say, and why so many people are attracted to it, dude. Because Hassan Piker isn't giant because he isn't saying something that people do love. So it's worthwhile to go see what other people have to say and not get caught up in whether they're right, wrong, love, hate. Is just to go listen to them. That's that is the bedrock of free speech. Is the flip side is listening. I mean, I don't think anyone gets it. Is speech is super important, and it's the first thing in the Constitution. But the opposite side of speech is the freedom to listen or not listen. And I would highly suggest listening to what people have to say so that you can go, oh, that's why people like that. And that's what I'm trying to say. When you go, like, I can go listen to Hassan Piker and appreciate him. I go, fuck, dude, no wonder people dig what he says. I don't personally like his trip, but I understand why people do like his trip. I understand what the ratio is. That Hassan Piker's an 80-20. He's an 80-20, dude, wrapped with this whole thing, dude. It's like listening to Asman Gold, dude. That dude's a straight like weirdo, dude. But how he puts it out applies to a bunch of people that want to chuckle. So they chuckle, but he's inserting messages into the chuckle, dude. So if you don't understand what's going on with these people, because I'm not going to listen to that dude because I hate him, you're going to miss out on why he's able to do what he's able to do. It again, like I would say, is if you actually listen to Nick Fuentes for a bit, you would understand why he's got a giant audience and why his audience is who his audience is, and why there's a huge component of Black people that appreciate Nick Fuentes' audience. You do get that most of the people that you can go find on right now on YouTube and stuff that are promoting Nick Fuentes are Black. It's crazy because he's addressing something that, if you don't pay attention to, appears to be one thing, and it might not actually be the other thing. It could be dog whistling for shit. I don't know. You got to go figure that out for yourself. But not checking out what people are saying is how we end up here, dude. This is how they destroy a free society, by convincing people not to listen to other people's ideas. It doesn't matter whether you like the idea or not. It's to understand that idea and why other people would be like, yeah, bitching like seals, like if you don't listen, man. One of the great ahas I had, I was listening to Destiny on Sabby Sabs, or no, Brianna Joy Gray had interviewed Destiny, right? Was it Destiny? I think it was one of those kind of guys. And Destiny was talking about, they're going to round us all up and stick us in concentration camps. This is like a Destiny, far left loony weirdo, right? And he's like, my greatest concern is they're gonna get power and they're gonna lock us all up and stick us in concentration camps. And at the same, I remember like the day before I listened to I don't know who, let's just say Alex Jones or something. They're gonna get political power, and they're gonna lock us all up in concentration camps. And I was like, dude, so the far right guys are terrified of the far left guys because they both think the other side's gonna do the same thing to them. Therefore, they're gonna do the same thing to each other. Like, do you not get that? That's how they're pulling this off, is because people are choosing not to listen to other people because they're like, I don't listen to that dude because I don't like him. Well, fucking people do. So it behooves you to figure out why people do. And then when you hear it, you might hear that this is why this dude right here keeps trying to tell you that the right and the left in America, the MAGA and the woke blue, are the same fucking people with different colored hats on, dude. Because if you listen to either of them in their own spheres, they're saying the exact same thing. Yes, they're all for censorship. The Republicans are for censorship based upon what they want to censor for. The left is on censorship for what they want to censorship for. The right is for putting police in the street for what they want to put police in the street for. The left wants to put police in the street for what they want to put them in for. And at the end of the day, they are the same group of people, but they're out here. And all of us in the middle aren't bothering to listen to both sides and be like, holy shit, these people are all saying the exact same garbage. And they're all trying to get us to the same place, which is their digital technocratic gulag, dude. So if you want to end up in the fucking gulag, just sit there and go, I hate that guy and I hate that guy. That's what they want. Instead of going, oh my goodness. And if we would be more rational and we would sit and we would do the free exchange of ideas, dude, and we weren't so afraid of bad ideas, dude, because there's no shortage of bad ideas, we might be able to break free of the machine. But the machine is based upon us adopting the same bad ideas for different reasons. Do you get that? That's how the machine's doing it. They're going, here, you embrace the same bad ideas for a set of reasons here, and you embrace the same bad ideas for a set of reasons here, and we'll meet here with bad ideas, dude. That's how they're doing it. The good ideas are in the middle. The good ideas are a little bit right, a little bit left, a lot of center. There's got a lot of God in it. It's got a lot of like, leave God out of it. It's got a lot of freedom in it. It's got a lot of responsibility in it. It's got a lot of listening. It's got a lot of readjusting your mindset, dude. Listen, man, that's my main message here, dude. Put down the sword, dude. Put down the swords, everybody. And start listening to what people are saying, because they're telling you what's going on. And you have to understand that most people's ideas are not original. So where are they getting their ideas? They're getting their ideas from these other people, but you don't want to listen to these other people. So you're wondering, why is that dude on TikTok making videos about how stoked he is? There's blood shooting out of his neck, and this is a fantastic day. That dude's not sitting there coming up with that shit on his own. Like, he might come up with the video on his own, but his mentality was created because he's sitting in his little world, listening to his little cube of people. That dude isn't listening to anybody in the opposite camp. That dude's sitting. And if you understand what Terry Kaczynski had to say, dude, if you fucking read the professor's stuff, he would talk to you. That's how they're going to do it, dude, is to get us into our feedback loops. And we only break out of the feedback loops. Go get your algorithm shifted, dude. Go start. I'm telling you, just go find some shit that you don't ideologically roll with. Bring it into your algorithm and sit and kind of listen to them. And you're going to find that the what you hate about those people, your people are saying the exact same stuff, dude. I'm telling you, that's the wake-up call. That's why they don't want you listening to stuff on the other side, because what you despise in your enemy, the people on your own side are saying, dude. What you fear in your enemy, the people on your side are saying the exact same shit, but you don't know it because you're like not listening to the enemy, dude. But if you went and listened to the enemy spokespersons, you would understand that your people are giving you the same shitty advice, dude. And they're moving you to the same digital gulag at both sides. So it's break free and start listening to what the fuck's going on around here, because your camp, and most people here listening aren't in a camp. But what I'm trying to say is, if you're sitting in a camp and it's a right camp or it's a left camp or it's this camp or it's that camp, those camps are both operating under the same ideas, dude, of fear, of lack of God. And I'm telling you, I'm over here Christian conservative. They ain't talking fucking about God. Most of them are talking about selling you bullets, dude, or survival rations or whatever it is. The loony lefties are no different than the loony right wingers, dude. They're all full of grifters that are playing upon you not listening to the opposite side. Because the minute you listen to the opposite side, you would be like, holy shit, they're saying the same thing. Hassan Piker is saying the exact same thing as Tim Pool, basically, dude. And you're like, wait a minute, dude. The reason they did this thing the other day is because everybody was starting to realize the number one bad idea is a open air genocide on prime time. Everyone's like, wait a minute, dude. Doesn't matter if I'm right. Doesn't matter if I'm left. Murdering of women and children is wrong. Oh, it's not an ideological issue, is it? It's just a human understanding that we don't blow up women and children. We don't starve populations. We don't do that. It's got nothing to do with my talker over here or my talker over there. And we were coming together about this. That's what they're trying to disrupt. That's what they're trying to disrupt, dude. So anyway, man. Thanks, Emmy, for getting me going. The issues that are causing the discord are irrelevant once you empower yourself, dude. That's what I would say at the end of the day, dude. No, dude. ME, dude. Thank you for getting me fired up. I never know where these things are going. No, dude. You listen, I will tell you, dude, I get edgy with people in the chat sometimes, but the point is I need to be pushed too and get fired up about stuff. Because that wasn't where I was coming. Dude. And there it is, dude. I just broke it down what they're doing, like in my own crazy way, dude. Yeah, but don't go on the rabbit hole, sure, dude. Yeah, we should all be playing. Anyway, I'm sweating and I got to go feed my animals, and it's 5:30. Emmy, thank you, dude. Like I said, it's I like to get smoke and mirrors, man. Yeah. Swamp mouse. Yeah, something like that. Nah, we missed the window on the goat milk, dude. We're gonna go get him like pregnant again here. We were talking about that today. What's up, Chrissy Boners? I'm tripping into holes. Don't trip into holes, dude. Stay above the ground, man. Don't go in the rabbit holes. Yeah, like, subscribe. You can tip your talker. There's some crypto keys down below, dude. Bitcoin's down, so it's a good time to offload some to the illusion, dude. I'm more of an Ethereum guy, but whatever, dude. Yeah, my t-shirt inventory is a little low, but if you email me, we get them fired up. I do have a bunch of like these shirts and stuff. I was gonna put in like make a bargain bin, dude. You know, or include them with another purchase or something. I was thinking something like that, dude. But and I have some misprints that aren't that bad, but I do have quality control standards. So with that said, I'm gonna get out of here and go outside. All right, everyone. Use the name tags. Be kind to one another. God has blessed us. And with that said, we'll see you at the next time. I'm kind of on a roll, so we'll see if I can. I don't think I can do it tomorrow. Adios. Lates.